Hey guys, Sam here with Batch Stoves. Today I'm going to be doing a video on some alcohol stoves made from beverage cans, the small juice cans. A buddy of mine, Two Bears, sent me these stoves, and for the past year or two he's been in pursuit of a fuel efficient stove to work with small pots, and he's came up with several different variations over the last couple of years, and he's finally gotten down to the one that he thinks is the most fuel efficient, and he's calling this the ultimate stove. It's, you know, your basic juice can, similar to a rollover style stove, and he's got it jetted and perfected to what he thinks is the most fuel efficient version to date. And he asked me if I would do a video on it, so I would. He sent me some other ones. This is a capillary type stove. Haven't had a chance to play around with it yet. This is his Mahala version. It has the bigger jets, and this was a very fuel efficient version of his stove, but he's went over to this one now. And then this is his topsy-turvy version. It's basically the same, I believe it's basically the same design as this one, just out of a 57 millimeter can. This is a Monster Energy drink can. So let's get started. I'm going to be using my beer can replacement cook pot. It's the smallest diameter pot that I have. And we've got around 2 cups of water here. This wasn't quite a full bottle. I believe this is close to 2 cups of water as I can get. And the indoor temp was 77. And let's see what the water temp is. I'm in my shop here. I'm going to be using heat. This is a fresh bottle of heat. I just opened it. And we're going to be using 20 milliliters of heat. Now he says 20 milliliters will take, is all you need for the stove, and he can reclaim around 13 milliliters. I think he said 13. No, it takes about 13. He can reclaim around 7.5 milliliters of fuel. So we have 20 going in the stove, and his whole theme is about conserving fuel. So he doesn't bring the fuel up to temperature. He brings it up to 180, and then he blows the stove out. Now he does this for a couple reasons. One, he doesn't need the water any hotter. He's just making hot beverages or rehydrating some dehydrated meals. And 180 is a good temp for him. And so when you're all about conserving fuel, bringing water to a boil is not necessarily what you're after. Now, if I were going to be drinking water and I was unsure, then I would, of course, bring the water up to boil. But he says 14 drops of fuel for the prime. I don't have a dropper, but let's just see. I'm going to call this maybe a milliliter of fuel. Not very much in here. I don't know if you can see that swishing around, but I would say 1 milliliter. So let's put that on. And we'll use that to prime. Okay, now he says just sit the pot directly on there and center it, and water temp is 66 degrees. And let's get it lit and start a timer. Let's get the light out and see where we're at so you can see it. Now the stove's already bloomed. It bloomed super quick. And the primer also helps preheat the water so it doesn't put the stove out. And it'll raise the temp of the water around 10 degrees before the stove actually blooms. Now this stove will die down a little bit. It won't be going up the sides of the pot there so much. There we go. Okay, it looks like we're lit and we're good. And you can see the flames just come up the side of the pot. Just come up the side of the pot. We're up to 80 degrees. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow this out when we get to 180, and we're going to reclaim the fuel, and we'll see exactly how long it takes to get to 180 and exactly how much fuel we reclaim. So I'm going to cut the video here, and we'll come back when it gets closer to 180. We've got about another 100 degrees to go. We're at 84 degrees and 125. The indoor temp here in my shop was 77 degrees. The water temp was 66. We used 20 milliliters of heat. And we're almost at 180 here. We're going to blow it out at 180. 177. Stop this timer. 79. Come on. 181. 181, and we blew the stove out. Now I will say that this stove, it doesn't take much to blow it out. But it looks like 6 minutes 46 seconds to 180 with the beer can replacement cook pot on the Ultimate juice can stove from 2 Bears. So let's let that cool off a second, and we'll recover the fuel and see what we got. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. So let's recover this fuel. I guess it's just the bottom of a tin can here that I've cut. And there's a good bit of fuel in here. Let's see if we can get it all out. You're never going to get exactly all of it out, but try to get most of it. Alright, I think we've got most of that out. Alright. Let's see what we recover here. Alright. I can tell you right now, it looks like exactly 5 milliliters. See if I can zoom in on this for you. It's right at the 5 milliliter mark. So 2 Bears, 2 cups, 66 degree water, using the Ultimate stove, 180, in 646 with 15 milliliters, and I recovered 5, so 15 milliliters of fuel. So that's where we're at on the Ultimate stove. Now I'm going to get set up, and I'm going to do, just as a comparison, I'm going to do my bottle stove. This is my fuel efficient BS 2.0 FE fuel efficient model. So we'll do the same test and see if we get the same results. Okay, so I'm set up to do a boil test on the BS 2.0 FE fuel efficient model. I've got my beer can replacement cook pot and 2 cups of water. And the indoor temp's 77, 78 degrees. And let's see what this water temp is. I'm looking for somewhere around mid 60s. Okay, so we're 66 degrees on the water temp. I've got 20 milliliters of heat here. I'm going to put in the stove. There's 10. And another 10. And I'm going to put just a little bit around the wick for primer. It's about a milliliter of heat here. Not much. Don't need much. Just about 1 milliliter. Oops, sorry, there we go. And I'm just going to kind of put this around the wick. Okay, that's it. And our water temp's 64 degrees, so a little bit cooler than with the topsy-turvy. The topsy-turvy at the time was 6:46. So let's see what our time is with this. I'm going to put the stove directly on, the pot directly on the stove. Alright, let's get it lit. And start this timer. Now you do need to use some primer on these stoves, these new bottle stoves. They just work a lot better when you put some priming fuel on there. And if you do, it takes 10-15 seconds to prime. And it comes down to a nice stable flame pattern right off the bat. And as you can see, it has a real nice tight flame pattern around this beer can replacement cook pot. It's just coming to the edges of this cook pot, and as it heats up, it'll fluctuate a little bit, but it's fairly stable flame pattern. Very happy with the diameter of the flame. Considering, you know, this is a lot smaller diameter than the beer can. It's a smaller diameter, but yet it still gives a nice flame pattern. You can see it's just coming up the sides now. It's starting to really get the temp, but it's not real wide. So we're going to let this go, and when we get up to 180, we'll come back and check on it. Okay, so we're at 176, and we're at 5 minutes, a little over 5 minutes. So we're going to blow it out in just a second here at 180. 180. 180. Okay, we got it blown out. 5 minutes 15 seconds to 180, and as you can see, this stove's a little bit harder to extinguish, but worked really well. And we'll see what kind of fuel we can reclaim from this. So we'll come back and let that cool off. We'll come back and check it. Alright, so let's check and see how much we've recovered. Again, I've got my little bottom of a can here. And let's see how much fuel we're going to recover. It's hard to get all the fuel out of these stoves. if you could time it perfectly and have just the right amount. But I've tried, if a stove takes 15 milliliters and it takes 20 milliliters to boil 2 cups, and then you recover 5 milliliters. So then if you try to put in just 15, for some reason, it never seems to get it up to the same temp. So I'm not sure why that is, but, and you never can get exactly all of the fuel out of here. But you can get most of it. Okay, so let's see what we've recovered here. And I'll be dog, I'm gonna say that that's about 4 milliliters. I mean, it's really close to the 5 mark there. I don't have anything that's better graduated than this, but yeah, we're about 4 milliliters, I would say. So, just doing a comparison between this stove and this stove, boil time for this was up to 180 with this stove was 5:15. Up to 180 with this stove was 6:46. Using the same amount of fuel. This one I recovered 5. Put in 20 milliliters, recovered 5. I put in 20 milliliters here and recovered, I'm going to call it 4. So those are results I've gotten. It's so close, in my opinion, it's so close that either way you want to go is okay. I'm going to lean towards the bottle stove just for the durability of the stove and the longevity. This stove is going to outlast this stove. For sure. This one has a 2-ounce capacity, so you can maintain the boil longer. This one, I'm not sure what the capacity is on this, but I would say that not more than 1 ounce. I just don't really care for these stoves that much because of the durability of these stoves. But that is the results that I've got between these two stoves. I also brought both these stoves up to boil, and I actually brought them both up to 212, and I recovered about 2.5, 3 milliliters here, and on here I recovered around 2 milliliters. So it was still right in the same range. So depending on, doesn't matter if I brought it up to 180 or 212, the results were very similar. Although this stove is quite a bit quicker, 5:15 versus 6:45, so that's like a minute and a half quicker to bring this up to 180 than this stove. Quickness is not always what people seek, but it just goes to show you this one's putting out a little bit more BTUs per milliliter of fuel than this is, and if the temperatures are colder, that's going to be a benefit to you. So thanks for watching. I'm Sam at BatchStovez. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stop by and visit us at www.BatchStovez.com. Have a great day.